Hi, my name is Robin Wong, and welcome back to another episode of Robin Speaks. This is a video podcast series where I talk about random photography topics. In this particular episode, I want to explore everything wrong with camera reviews today. I do have a lot to say about this topic, so let's do this. I'm sure you've noticed that I'm using a new microphone in this video. Previously, I was using the DT-D3. This was a shotgun microphone designed to be seated on top of a camera for vlogging purposes. I bought the DT-D3 for outdoor video recording, which I did, but I didn't quite like how my voice sounds like after being recorded from this DT-D3. Therefore, I decided not to use it, and I continued to use my lavalier microphone for all my outdoor shooting, which I attached to my shirt. Recently, during the lockdown, I thought, hey, when I'm filming indoor, why don't I use the DT-D3, which I did for the past 6 episodes of Robin Speaks video podcast. I used the DT-D3. Again, I didn't like the audio that's coming from the DT-D3. I tried to do some adjustments and tweaks in post. I couldn't get it to the result that I wanted. Therefore, I finally bought a different microphone. I wouldn't recommend this to anyone. It is a very cheap microphone, but I thought this should work better than the DT-D3. So let me know in the comments below how I sound like with this new microphone. Do you prefer my voice from this microphone over the DT-D3? I'm very curious to find out what you think about that. This brings us to the topic of discussion for today. Why did I buy the DT-D3 in the first place? I've read at least 10 reviews and I've watched at least 20 videos of YouTubers giving glowingly positive reviews on this DT-D3. You can never find anything negative about this microphone, and yet I don't like it. And I don't think that it records a very natural or pleasing sounding voice. It just doesn't work for me. Maybe you have a different opinion, I don't know, but this is the problem that I'm trying to highlight here. There are a lot of reviews out there that are saying one thing, but in reality, you get a different experience. And of course, I will not comment further on the microphone or audio. That's not my area of expertise, but I do want to talk about camera reviews, and I have a lot to say. Let me be clear that I'm not making this video to bash other camera reviewers. I fully respect the work that everyone is doing, and I like that we are not lacking variety or options when it comes to camera reviews. We have a lot of YouTubers, a lot of photographer bloggers making content out there for us, and I think it is a good thing. But I do have some complaints or things I think can be improved, especially when it comes to camera or lens reviews. After all, I am myself a photography reviewer. I've been blogging for more than 10 years, making a lot of reviews there. And recently I'm on YouTube. I'm also making reviews on my YouTube channel. And there are things that I disagree when I see the things that other people are doing. I want to talk about that here. And of course, I'm not saying that I'm the best reviewer out there or I'm always right. Sometimes I'm wrong. I don't know everything, and I do have a lot to work on myself. I do have some things to learn and improve on. Nobody's perfect, but what I want to do here, the reason I'm making this video, is so that we can all improve and make better review content in the future. I want to contribute to the community, and of course, if you disagree with what I say, please voice your opinion in the comments below. After all, if we all strive to be better, if we all do our best to make better content, it will all benefit all of us at the end of the day. My first and biggest problem with camera reviews out there today is that the camera reviewer did not spend enough time with the product that they are reviewing. This is a very common problem. The camera reviewer or the photographer gets the product, plays with it for 1 to 2 days, and then rush to conclude the review. This is a mistake because if you don't spend enough time with the product, if you don't use it enough, you don't have enough experience, then you cannot make a meaningful conclusion. How much time you spend on the product, you can easily tell from the review. How many photographs is the photographer showing? How many locations did he go to take these photographs? How much effort did he put in to take these photographs? You can easily tell from his review. When I review a new camera, when I review an Olympus OMD camera, I will go to various locations. I will go to the zoo to take some animal shots. I will do insect macro photography. I will take some portrait photographs. I will do street photography. I will do urban landscape. I will go out at night to test low light shooting. I will go to event stage and do some event photography. I will do all kinds of photography. I'll spend 1 week, sometimes 2 weeks, just to collect sample photographs and truly understand the camera, to experience using the camera inside out extensively. Then after that 1 to 2 weeks, I will start to do my review. There is that shooting period, getting to know the camera period before you do your review. But no, a lot of the YouTubers, they start the review from day one because their purpose is not to share how good or how bad the camera is. Their purpose is to create the review video to get as many views as possible, being the first to publish the video and make it as viral as possible. There is a difference in terms of purpose of a real photographer who's reviewing a camera than a YouTuber or content creator trying to get views. Either way, you need to spend enough time, you need to have enough experience to make a meaningful review. My second problem with the camera reviews out there is not having enough sample photographs or poor sample photographs. Both are equally bad. Well, what does a camera do? A camera only has one singular purpose: to take photographs. Therefore, your sample photographs from your review, they are more important than what you have to say about the camera. If you don't have enough sample photographs, you don't have enough evidence to back up what you have to say. Or if your sample photographs are poor, then they don't reflect the full capabilities of the camera. You need to do more to justify what you have to say in your review. I see some photographers, they just take some random shots and they conclude whether the camera is good or bad. They take shots outside the window of the house, they take some plants, then they take their pets, their children, some selfie, and that's it. They don't spend more than half an hour to take these sample photographs, and I believe that to make your review more interesting and more meaningful, you need to do a lot more than just taking random shots around your house. You need to test the camera in real life shooting environment. To test high ISO shots, you don't just turn off the light in your room and take some shots. That's very, very lazy. To test low light shooting, you need to bring the camera in real low light environment. Go out to the dark alley at night, or you go to a live event, say a singer on a dimly lit stage, or a theater where you need to push the high ISO numbers to get your shots. Test the camera in actual shooting environment, capturing real photographs in that environment. Then you will see whether the camera can deliver the shots in low light environment or not. Same with dynamic range. Some people take a shot in their living room and look, the camera has good dynamic range. No, you need to test it in real harsh lighting conditions like a sunrise or sunset, outdoor, capturing in real environment. Then you can tell a full story whether the camera can perform or not. Same with autofocus test. If you know that the camera is designed for sports, Olympus claimed that the EM1 Mark II and the EM1X, these cameras has fast autofocus, face detection with very good continuous tracking, and these cameras also have fast burst, 60 frames per second with pro capture mode. How do we test this? What did I do? So I brought the camera to shoot a tennis tournament. You see, you need to test the camera in real shooting environment to really see whether the camera can perform or not. Not just some random shots and, I've taken these 2 or 3 shots and Yeah, I can conclude already. Please don't be lazy. Take more sample photographs. I think the audience deserves to see more meaningful, real photographs from actual real-world environment. Then you can say whether the camera is good or not. My third problem with the camera reviews out there is overemphasis on image sensor size. I fully acknowledge that having a larger image sensor like a full frame can bring some advantages. You have better dynamic range, you have better high ISO performance, and you can render shallow depth of field. We all know that, it is a fact, no one is going to deny that. However, image sensor size is not everything. Just because another camera has a smaller image sensor, it doesn't mean that it is automatically a bad camera. Just because a camera uses a micro four thirds sensor, it does not invalidate all the other positive things about the camera. The camera may have a very powerful image stabilization, and that is still true. A camera that has full weather sealing capabilities, that is still valid. You don't take this all away and say, oh, it's automatically a bad camera. You conclude that this camera is not suitable for photographers just because of the sensor size. And to be entirely honest, micro four thirds is sufficient for 99.999% of the photographers out there. Whoever that says that micro four thirds is not enough, I don't think that they know what they're doing with their photography. About a year or more ago, there was this one incident involving a very famous and well-respected photographer. He claimed that his iPhone can take better, cleaner, high ISO night images in comparison to a micro four thirds camera. You heard it right. He claimed that his iPhone surpasses a micro four thirds camera in terms of high ISO low light shooting. Can you imagine how damaging, how misleading, and how wrong his statement was? Imagine someone coming from smartphone photography, looking to upgrade to a proper camera, looking into micro four thirds, and stumbled upon this photographer who has quite a large following, and he claimed that micro four thirds is not doing any better than an iPhone. Some people may actually believe that, and can you see how destructive this is to the industry? There are negative repercussions, and I think photographers, especially online reviewers who are influential, they need to take responsibility for the actions of what they say online. You can't just say things like this, especially that is not true. If you say that, oh, micro four thirds is not as good as full frame, and full frame is better when it comes to dynamic range and high ISO, of course, no one is going to question you. That's a fact. But to say and to claim boldly that micro four thirds is not as good as an iPhone, and that iPhone's performance surpasses a micro four thirds camera, especially when it comes to high ISO, there is just a lot of crap. And the worst thing that happened was because he said this wrong thing and made it sound so right, it can mislead a lot of people. I think this wrong information about and this bashing about small sensors and this hatred towards micro four thirds need to stop. If you hate micro four thirds so much, just ignore it. Continue with your full frame. You can enjoy your full frame. Continue reviewing your full frame camera. Your hatred towards micro four thirds and your bashing towards the smaller image sensor is not going to make you a better photographer. I think we are all free to choose whatever system that works for us. Being a camera reviewer, you need to also open your eyes to the practicality of a smaller format system. It doesn't mean that just because the image sensor is small, automatically it is a bad camera. You need to be practical, you need to be objective, and you need to see that there is a group of people who enjoy using small sensor cameras. I, for one, I find that micro four thirds system works for me. I've been using it for my professional photography. I have a lot of friends who shoot with micro four thirds, and we are perfectly happy with this format. The fourth issue that I had with a lot of camera reviewers out there is that a lot of these YouTubers or content creators are only creating content for the sake of creating content, and they don't really care about the photography review of the camera. And this is very, very disturbing because most of these reviewers will have a clickbaity title. They will promise something dramatic like why I dumped Nikon and moved over to Sony, or why this Panasonic camera is dead on arrival, or why Sony's next camera is king, or why Canon is dead, or all this super sensationalized title. And when you look at it, they are nothing more than clickbait. Clickbait because when you click on it and look at the super dramatic title, but when you really look at the content, it does not deliver the substance to back up the title. I've seen too many of these review videos or videos talking about cameras. They are very catchy and attractive, but they just want you to click on it. And honestly, it has nothing much to do with photography. It's nothing much to do with the camera. And it all comes down to specification wars. Oh, this camera has more megapixels. This camera has slightly better dynamic range. Oh, this face detection autofocus is better. The face tracking is better. Oh, this high ISO is just maybe half a stop better than the other camera. Then I'll move over to the other cam already. And there's just so much bashing and trashing between systems. And one day, one YouTuber will switch to this system, and the next 2 days he'll switch to another system. It keeps jumping around and it just gets so ridiculous. And at the end of the day, it's no longer about photography, it's no longer about the camera, it's about that YouTuber trying to create more content, trying to get viral, trying to gain views, trying to monetize the platform. I'm not saying that it is wrong. If you are a content creator and this is your livelihood and you derive most of your income from YouTube or whatever that you're doing, then of course, do what you have to do. But when you do camera reviews, when you review camera, may I please request that you put a little bit more effort and please be a little bit more honest. Stop with all this drama, stop with all this bashing, stop with all this clickbaity title and thumbnails. Just go straight to the point about the cameras or lenses that you are reviewing. Really test the cameras and really show what they are capable of and try to be as honest as possible. I understand that it's impossible at this point to be unbiased. Everyone is biased whenever we do a review, even myself included. Everyone, all the reviews, they are biased to some point because our opinion is subjective and we are all humans, we're all different, and I cannot agree with everything that you say, you cannot agree with everything that I say, and it's only normal that we have some disagreement. That's perfectly fine, but it doesn't mean that you can go off tangent and go to the extreme and claim ridiculous things and over-sensationalize a title and try to make things as dramatic as possible. That is just not right, and it has to stop. Having said all that, I must also add that I do notice a lot of high quality reviews out there. I personally have read many good reviews. I've watched a lot of nice videos reviewing cameras and lenses. I'm personally inspired by the photography in these reviews, and they have helped me in my decision making to purchase certain products. Not all reviews are bad, but we can all strive to be better. We can all improve ourselves from one video to the next, creating better content, and I think this will benefit everyone in the end. Alright, time for some comments. Matthias GN said, "Thanks for the great work, Robin. Would you consider something like a photo review series?" Matthias, thank you so much for the suggestion, but I will not be reviewing any photographs or doing any critique session. I don't think I'm qualified to comment on any other people's work. I believe that photography is art, and art is subjective. I'm not the right person to tell you what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong. And in photography, like any art, there's no right and wrong. What you like and what I like may be different things. And feel free to explore whatever that you want to explore. We are all different people. We have all different preferences. We have all different tastes in life. So it is very difficult for me to impose my approach, the way I see things on you. When I critique your photographs, it doesn't work that way. You have to find your own way. The only way to do that is to continue shooting, take more photographs, do more photography as you go along. I am sure you will find your way. Toby Kelsey said, "I disagree that the constant f4 keeps the size down. is the aperture at the long end that sets the lens diameter. You could have a variable aperture zoom, perhaps f2.8 to f4, with the same size. The only downside would be that aberration would be more noticeable wide open at the wide angle end if you use the same optical formula, but image quality would be the same at f4, so you're not actually losing anything. I'm going to stop here. I will come back to the second part a bit later. Toby, you are claiming that, based on your comment, it is the aperture at the long end that sets the lens diameter. Now, let's see, we're talking about 8 to 25, right? Let's say we have two different lenses, 8mm and 25mm, both prime lenses. Oh wait, we do have these two lenses from Olympus. We have the 8mm f1.8 fisheye and a 25 f1.8 prime lens, both from Olympus. And guess what? The 8mm f1.8 is at least 3 times larger than the 25 f1.8. Bear in mind, the 8mm f1.8 is a fisheye lens. To make it a rectilinear lens, a normal wide-angle perspective without the ugly barrel distortion, then you have to make the lens even bigger. I would say maybe twice as large as what the 8mm f1.8 currently is. That makes the lens at least 4 times larger than the 25 f1.8. So how then can you say it is the 25mm lens or the end that decides the size of the lens? The way I see it, the wider end is more complex. In design, it is harder and more challenging to create a wider lens with a brighter aperture. So it is the 8mm end, the wider end, that decides how big or how small the lens is. The 25mm is just a normal focal length. It is easy to make f1.8 or f2.8 with a smaller size. Let's go to the second part of the comment. Now, constant aperture design is mainly to prevent reviewers and pixel peepers complaining about wide open image quality at the wide end, ignoring that they've got extra aperture stops to play with. It doesn't provide any material benefit for the photographer. So you're saying that you're okay with some compromises if Olympus makes the 8 to 25mm from f2.8 to f4, assuming that they can make it the same size, so they have to compromise a little bit at the wide end. We don't know how much they have to compromise at this point, but I'm assuming it's not a little bit. So you're saying that you can live with a subpar f2.8. Now this is something that, again, I disagree with you. I would prefer to have an optimal, sharp, with all the right lens control, a really good and optimized f4 lens versus a subpar half-baked f2.8. What's the point shooting with f2.8 if the image that you get is soft, you have corner blurriness, you have a lot of flare, you have aberration, you have vignetting, you have all kinds of problem. It's not even that sharp. Versus the f4, which is already super sharp. When I deliver my images to my clients, I want to be able to shoot wide open with my lenses, especially if it's a pro lens. Whether it's f4, f2.8, f1.2, f whatever, I want to make sure that the results that I deliver to my client, they are pin sharp, corner to corner. I don't want to have any compromise. So it doesn't make sense that you can accept the f2.8 with so many compromises and assume it's not easy to make unless they make the lens bigger to maintain the certain standards of a pro lens. Barry Abdul asked, "Hi Robin, is using a dual IS lens will help to get a sharp long exposure image?" Barry, the answer depends on the focal length that you are shooting. I was shooting with 12mm for my test that I did in my previous video. At wide angle, the 5-axis Sync IS from Olympus will not help you that much from what is already there in the 5-axis image stabilization of the image sensor. Now, when you talk about 5-axis Sync IS, it means that the camera's image sensor stabilization works together with the lens image stabilization. In the lens, it's not 5 axis. The lens only has 2 axes, which is yaw and pitch. If you don't know what yaw and pitch are, go and Google it. there's only 2 axes in the lens. That 2 axes will help you with telephoto shooting. When you shoot at longer focal lengths, look at what Olympus lenses have with the lens IS 12 to 100, 300 f4 Pro, 150 to 400 f4.5 Pro, 100, 300, 400. It is the long telephoto and that the 2 axis in the lens image stabilization that will truly benefit the 5-axis sync IS. Shooting at wide angle, that 2 axis in the lens will not help so much to stabilize because wide angle lenses like 7 to 14, 8 to 25, or 12 to 40, or any other wide angles, even 17 or 25mm lens, you don't need the dual IS. And even if you have the dual IS, trust me, it will not help that much. David Black said, I've done 20-second handheld astro landscape photos with sharp stars using the EM1 Mark III. Wow, that's impressive, David. I used the 2-second delay and braced my elbows on a picnic table. There is another comment which is similar. Grandmaster BBC said, amazing, that's it. All of my astrophotography from here on out is going to be shot handheld. Now that is a challenge. Guys, I know that the 5-axis image stabilization in the Olympus EM1 Mark III is really remarkable, and we are confident in hand-holding our shots even in dangerously slow shutter speeds. But if you are going to do long exposure photography, if you are doing stars, astrophotography, shooting the Milky Way, when you need 10, 20, 30 seconds, please use a tripod. The reason that I tested the 5-axis IS in my previous video was just to stretch and see how far the camera can go. But if you remember from the video, I only did the test for 20 seconds once and 30 seconds once. And I was already shaking all over. I was sweating from top to bottom. It was a huge challenge. Imagine if I were to take 10 photographs, 20 photographs repeatedly back to back, 15, 20 seconds again and again. I don't think I can do that. By the 4th or 5th shot, I would have given up. So it is more practical in these situations, and I highly suggest that you bring a tripod. If I know that I'm going to do long exposure night photography or shooting astrophotography in the sky, I will use my tripod. Xavier G asked, this review is made from Micro Four Thirds Olympus or full frame sensor? Now there are 2 possible reasons why Xavier may ask me whether I'm shooting with Olympus or full frame. The first reason, when he sees that I have background blur in my video where I shot outdoor, not this video of course, all my outdoor videos I use the EM5 Mark III and the Olympus 45 f1.8. I have this blur background which looks really nice. And a lot of people misunderstood that, and they have misconception of how Micro Four Thirds cannot render background blur. And whenever they see background blur, automatically they think, oh, this must be full frame. It really saddens me to find out that people still think that way, because Micro Four Thirds Olympus system absolutely can render background blur. Now the second reason is even more disturbing, because it's possible that Xavier was doubting my integrity in doing my reviews, that I didn't really use Olympus cameras to do my review and I was using full frame instead. And that is really wrong, because remember the Stylus One incident in my previous podcast series? If you have watched my previous episode, people are accusing me of using a different camera, a full frame camera, to review, to shoot with and use the sample photographs and claim that they were taken with Olympus. I hope that this is not happening again, because if it is, it's clearly very insulting to me, and it feels really sad to see people doubting my credibility as a reviewer, as a photographer. Anyway, all the videos you see on this YouTube channel, they were taken with Olympus cameras, mostly with the EM5 Mark III, sometimes with the EM1 Mark II, and all Olympus lenses, 45 f1.8, 12 to 40, mostly, if you see a lot of blur background, it was the 45 f1.8. Honest Opinion said, that's insane. Robin Wong, the human tripod. Do you have 3 legs? Wow, honest opinion. Thank you for being so honest. Do I have 3 legs? Maybe I do. That's all I have to share in this episode 7 of Robin Speaks. I hope you've enjoyed my discussion on everything wrong with camera reviews today. Do you have anything more to add? Maybe you have some more complaints or issues with camera reviews out there, or maybe you disagree with my way of doing reviews or the points that I've made in this video. Feel free to share your opinion in the comments below. Keep it friendly, please, but I do want to hear your thoughts. Please do consider to support this channel and to keep me alive. You can buy me a cup of coffee or you can contribute directly to my PayPal. Links in the description below on how you can do that. Any small contribution goes a long way. It will help me to make more videos like this and publish them right here. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. And I'll definitely see you again in the next one. Until then, stay safe and please go out to take more photographs if you can. Bye-bye.